It was his strength once, a memory that won't fade. The weight of that armor still settles on my shoulders. Now the city prepares its welcome for a new champion. In the Lovesick Forest, it was as usual misty. There was a thick fog floating above the ground. It looked like heaven on earth. In the pavilion, 2 people were drinking Lovesick Alcohol. Duan Wuya was one of them. The other one was a smart, elegant, handsome, and spirited man. That man looked natural and unrestrained. At that moment, he was still wearing his armor, the armor of an officer. He looked majestic. It was the officer of the Imperial Guards. "Yujai, what do you think?" said Duan Wuya, sounding indifferent while sipping on his glass of Lovesick Alcohol. "Your Highness, before the battle, I had already secured the situation. All the Imperial Guards are now in our faction. Now it is only about consolidating and purging. From today, the guards are yours, Your Highness." "Oh," said Duan Wuya while lightly nodding. It was impossible to see if he was happy or worried. He was expressionless and uncommunicative. At that moment, someone wearing black clothes was approaching and arrived at the pavilion. He slightly bowed in front of the second prince and said, "Your Highness." "Nanshan, sit down," said Duan Wuya while waving and smiling softly and warmly. Nanshan slightly nodded and immediately sat down opposite Yujai. He said, "Your Highness, Liu Kanglan went back to Duan Ren City, but he gave his army to Lin Feng. He wants them to stay with him." "Great news." Duan Wuya paused and then said while nodding, "Maybe then he'll be able to use them for a good cause." "Yujai, the Imperial Guards need you. You should go back," said Duan Wuya to Yujai. Yujai slightly nodded and took leave. Immediately after, he left the pavilion. Nanshan, while looking at Yujai's silhouette leave, said, "Your Highness, congratulations on gaining the Imperial Guards." Duan Wuya shook his head and said, "Today's greatest achievement is not the Imperial Guards. Duan Tianlang, Meng Han, and the others didn't care about Your Highness and worked against Your Highness. Meng Han is already dead. Duan Tianlang is mourning over his son's death. The others should be perfectly aware of the situation as well," said Nanshan. Duan Wuya was usually always so kind and soft. Because of that, many people forgot that he was also extremely powerful. Nanshan had been following Duan Wuya for many years. He perfectly understood that the people who underestimated Duan Wuya would end up in tragic situations. Even the extremely strong, powerful, ruthless, and cruel high official, the Crown Prince, didn't dare look down on his brother. "That's not how it is," said Duan Wuya while shaking his head. Nanshan was a bit surprised and immediately said, "Lin Feng? Indeed, that's Lin Feng." Duan Wuya, while slightly nodding his head, said, "Everybody now knows that Lin Feng is one from my faction. Even though the Imperial Guards protect the city and constitute an important provision of force, in comparison with these troops, they are still too weak. These troops are my goal. Duan Tianlang is too arrogant and looks down on everyone else. He's a moron. Surprisingly, he dared touch Duan Xinyi. He doesn't know, but from that moment he doomed himself. He still thinks that there is a chance with my brother, but he's nothing but a dead man." Duan Wuya, at that moment, didn't look like a friendly person. His eyes were filled with sharpness, brutality, and coldness. He hadn't been worried about Duan Xinyi being kidnapped by Mo Yue troops. They wouldn't have killed Duan Xinyi, but he hadn't thought that Duan Tianlang would try to kill Lin Feng and Duan Xinyi on the way back. Nanshan could sense Duan Wuya's coldness. He knew that if Duan Tianlang was still alive, but it was only a matter of time. What Duan Tianlang didn't understand was that he wouldn't be able to achieve his aim if the princess died. He would be doomed. No matter the winner, Duan Wu Dao or Duan Wuya, Dan Tianlang would have been killed for murdering Duan Xinyi. Duan Tianlang still thought that Duan Wu Dao would agree with him killing the princess. Maybe if Duan Tianlang had the princess, blood on his hands, Duan Wu Dao wouldn't say anything initially, but in the end, he would end up like everyone else who had committed a serious crime. Such things were typical in political affairs. They were doing things behind the curtains in secret, and things were difficult to understand. It was difficult to see where each piece was placed on the board. "Nanshan, you tell me, how can I get these troops?" said Duan Wuya. Nanshan was surprised, shook his head, and said, "I don't know." Nanshan knew what Duan Wuya meant, the most mysterious army of Zhu Yue, the Snow Dragon Guards. The Snow Dragon Guard unit was composed of the best cultivators within Zhu Yue. "It is absolutely normal for you not to know," said Duan Wuya while smiling. "The old man will, sooner or later, stop reigning over the country, allowing my brother and me to struggle for power and influence. Leading the ministers and so on will not be a problem, but the one who manages to obtain the snow dragon troops will be the real emperor. Nan Shan remained silent. He didn't know much about the snow dragon troops apart from the fact that they were extremely strong. At that moment, Duan Wuya raised his head and gazed into the distance. "Your Highness, I will leave now," said Nan Shan while getting up, but Duan Wuya shook his head and said, "No need, stay here." In the distance, Lin Feng had appeared. He was slowly and silently walking towards the pavilion, like a leaf floating on the wind, as if he was in perfect fusion with the earth. The energy which was emerging from his body was mysterious. Duan Wuya was a bit surprised. "What is Lin Feng's cultivation level now?" thought Duan Wuya. Duan Wuya couldn't sense Lin Feng's cultivation level, but it seemed like since he had gone to Duan Ren City, he had changed a lot. "Your Highness," said Lin Feng, who had arrived at the pavilion a moment later. Duan Wuya nodded. "Lin Feng, hurry up and sit down," said Duan Wuya, looking friendly again. He once again looked easy to get along with. He seemed to be a warm and soft person. Lin Feng slightly nodded and sat down opposite Nan Shan. This time, when Lin Feng entered into the forest, he didn't feel strange at all. It was obviously thanks to Duan Wuya. "Your Highness, you asked me to personally come to the Lovesick Forest. What do you need to speak to me about?" asked Lin Feng. "Lin Feng, you don't need to be so meticulous with me. Above all, I invited you to show you my gratitude for having brought Duan Xinyi back safely." Duan Wuya poured some alcohol into Lin Feng's glass and immediately downed his glass. Lin Feng grabbed the glass of alcohol and brought it to his lips. While drinking, he said in a low voice, "Your Highness, the princess was missing. It was my duty to bring her back." Lin Feng continued drinking the Lovesick alcohol, and a mysterious feeling invaded his heart. "How's the feeling?" asked Duan Wuya while smiling. "Even though I can't appreciate alcohol that much, I know that Lovesick alcohol is unique and original," replied Lin Feng while smiling. "What I want to ask you is if Xinyi appeared in your heart while drinking lovesickness," said Duan Wuya with a smile, yet not a smile on his face. "Lin Feng, it seems that you do not have the same feelings as my sister." Lin Feng was a bit shocked and then smiled wryly. That alcohol was supposed to make a person's most loved one appear in one's heart. In Lin Feng's heart, except for the image of a pure and holy silhouette wearing long white clothes, there was also a small part which belonged to the princess. He remembered that day at the Zai government, Duan Xinyi had really moved him to the extent that her silhouette appeared in his mind. Besides, in his heart, there was another girl, wearing red clothes. She was gentle and demure. Lin Feng was a bit perplexed. He believed in true love. "All right, this also none of my business, Lin Feng. I officially granted you a title. You can now officially claim it. You can also go to Yangzhou City to get your fief." When Duan Wuya saw that Lin Feng remained silent, he also didn't insist. He instead changed the subject. "At the end of the year, soon the annual New Year's holiday will be upon us. I will go back at that moment," replied Lin Feng. He and his father had been expelled out of the Lin Clan, so it was better to wait for a complete year to be over before returning. Maybe he would be able to arrive for the Lin Clan annual meeting too. "All right, in a few days I will send people to the Celestial Academy to come and pick you up to officially to receive your title," said Duan Wuya. "All right," said Lin Feng while slightly nodding. "Your Highness, I would like to ask you for help. I need your connections to help me find someone." "Tell me who," said Duan Wuya while nodding. "My father, Lin Hai," said Lin Feng slowly. Lin Hai said that he was going to the Imperial City, but so many things had happened to Lin Feng, and he didn't even know where his father was. Lin Feng had no news, so he hoped that Duan Wuya would be able to help him as the city was extremely large. "Your father, Lin Hai?" said Duan Wuya looking pensive, and then immediately nodded and said, "All right, Lin Feng, leave it to me." "Your Highness, thank you," said Lin Feng while nodding and saluting Duan Wuya with a cupped hand salute. "If you, Your Highness, don't have anything else to add, I will take my leave." "All right, you can go," said Duan Wuya while nodding and not preventing Lin Feng from leaving. Lin Feng abruptly left the Lovesick Forest. Outside of the Lovesick Forest, there was a pure and holy-looking silhouette waiting for him. When Lin Feng came out, they left together. In the peach orchard of the Celestial Academy, leaves were floating in the air like beautiful women dancing in the wind. The melody of the zither was floating on the wind, just like the leaves of the peach trees. The melody could bring peace to anyone's heart. In the middle of that elegant pavilion, a graceful hand was floating over the strings of the zither. The melody was enchanting. Lin Feng, just like a diligent student, was sitting on the ground with his eyes closed, respectfully listening to the melody. At that moment, Lin Feng's eyes were closed, and he was breathing peacefully. His body was surrounded by a cloud of qi. If people had been there, they would find it very mysterious, but there was nobody in sight. For Lin Feng, it seemed like there was nothing but the earth. He was in fusion with the earth. Yan Yu Ping Sheng was a Xuan Qi layer cultivator. If Lin Feng hadn't seen it with his own eyes, he would have never thought that Yan Yu Ping Sheng, the teacher who was also the examiner for the military students' entrance exam, had such terrifying strength and power. While his fingers were floating over the strings of the zither, he could disintegrate soldiers and make them disappear into nothingness like dust. Lin Feng felt endless respect for Yan Yu Ping Sheng. He was extremely powerful. Lin Feng held him in awe and veneration. After a long time, the sound of the zither stopped. Yan Yu Ping Sheng raised his head and looked at Lin Feng, who, as before, seemed calm and serene, as if he was sound asleep. At that moment, Lin Feng opened his eyes. He had a smile on his face and looked even more handsome. He looked charming and intelligent. Lin Feng, originally, you were not in harmony with your heart's true intentions, and that caused a hindrance in your cultivation. That was the reason why I had proposed to play the zither for you and teach you how to play, so that you could wash your heart clean from all the pollution. But now your power of comprehension is stronger than mine, and you can already penetrate into the Earth fusion dimension. Now you can continue alone. You need to think, to learn more and understand more about heaven and earth, to the extent that you don't even need to listen to the zither any longer, said Yan Yu Ping Sheng, who was speaking slowly. The Earth fusion dimension was extremely difficult to reach. Since Lin Feng had managed to break through to that complex cultivation layer, after that, breaking through to the different layers would be a piece of cake, at least until he reached the Tian Qi layer. It wouldn't be like Yan Yu Ping Sheng, for whom it was very difficult to reach higher levels after having broken through to the Xuan Qi layer. He had seen many geniuses, but he had never met someone like Lin Feng. Since Lin Feng could comprehend the earth fusion so well, people who had stronger talent than him were almost non-existent. "Teacher, I want to learn how to play the zither," said Lin Feng while slightly smiling. Lin Feng was very sensitive to the arts, especially to the zither. Not only did it help with meditating, but it could also be used to kill. "All right, if you want to learn, I will teach you. Besides, with the power of the earth fusion, it will be easy for you to learn. After a while, you'll play much better than me," said Yan Yu Ping Sheng. He had faith in Lin Feng. Lin Feng was a once-in-a-lifetime genius. Lin Feng wasn't arrogant at all. He was very humble. He had a strong willpower and determination. Besides, he was extremely talented. He was a real treasure. Looking at such an outstanding young man was a pleasure for other people. They felt happy when seeing such a talented genius. Yan Yu Ping Sheng was particularly happy about the fact that Lin Feng wanted to learn how to play the zither. So Yan Yu Ping Sheng hoped to see Lin Feng surpass him in the future. Yan Yu Ping Sheng took out some books and waved his hand, which made them immediately float through the air towards Lin Feng. Lin Feng received the books and listened to Yan Yu Ping Sheng. Lin Feng, learning how to play the zither requires the ability to listen. Now you have proven that you are able to listen. You will now need to get to know the zither. You need to learn how to understand it. These books are very easy, but amongst them, there are songs, and there are deadly zither skills as well. You can learn as much as you want, and if there is anything that you don't understand, you can always ask me. "All right," said Lin Feng while slightly nodding. He packed the books and immediately after said to Yan Yu Ping Sheng, "Teacher, I'm leaving." "All right, you can go," said Yan Yu Ping Sheng while smiling. Lin Feng had said that he was leaving without being scared of offending Yan Yu Ping Sheng. He wasn't the kind of person who cared about such small things. Yan Yu Ping Sheng wasn't offended by something like that. On the contrary, he liked Lin Feng this way, honest and carefree. The news that Lin Feng had already come back to the Celestial Academy had quickly spread. Everybody also knew about the great things that he had accomplished during the war. Everybody also knew about the fact that, during the war, on the battlefield, there was a song sung by Lin Feng which inspired passion within the troops. Besides, Lin Feng had created this himself, which definitely contributed to his artistic reputation. These days at the Celestial Academy, many people were talking about Lin Feng's achievements, but there were also many people who were talking about Lin Feng's cultivation level. The Celestial Academy had 4 cultivation towers. 3 of them were separated according to the 3 different student paths. There was another one. That one was a great catalyst for cultivation. In that 4th cultivation tower, the pure qi was also the thickest. It was the best tower for practicing cultivation. Besides, Anybody could practice in that cultivation tower. Of course, the rule was always the same. One had to be strong enough to obtain a room. At that moment at the tower, there were some people looking up at the majestic cultivation tower. Their eyes were filled with impatience. Not all of them had the power to enter it. They were just admiring it. Yangzhou was a new student at the Celestial Academy. She had broken through to the second Ling Qi layer, which was not bad at all considering that she was only 17, but at the Celestial Academy, that was nothing extraordinary. If only one day I could go into that cultivation tower and practice on the top floor, it would be great, said Yangzhou while looking up at the tall tower. That tower was different from the three others. The pure qi was flowing against the current. At the top of the tower, pure qi was denser than at the bottom. Besides, in that tower, rooms didn't require additional purity stones depending on the floor, and by standing at the bottom, it was possible to see which rooms on which floor were available. Only one glance sufficed. Once someone was in a room, the door closed itself and the pure qi started to circulate. Everybody could see from outside whether there was a free room or not. Each floor only had a single room. That cultivation tower was very special, though. It was in the middle of all the other towers and was only used by extremely powerful cultivators. Many people, like Yangzhou, were only there to admire it. They all hoped that they would be able to practice cultivation in that tower someday. Yangzhou, stop dreaming, joked a girl wearing blue clothes next to her. You should become the girlfriend of one of them and then he would take you inside. Yangzhou last time didn't do Gu Shang show that he was interested in you. You could go with him, said the other girl immediately. She sounded like she was joking in a jealous tone. Du Gu Shang was one of the 10 ranked disciples of the Celestial Academy. He was ranked 4th. In her thoughts appeared a noble young man. Yangzhou shook her head and said, "There is someone I like more than Du Gu Shang. It's Lin Feng." Lin Feng. The girl in blue clothes was stupefied. She looked at the top of the tower and said, "I heard that Lin Feng battled against Haimo last time and that he was extremely strong. Now he is known for his meritorious service during the war. He burnt an entire enemy army of hundreds of thousands alive. It's hard to imagine. He seems to be such a handsome and delicate young man, yet he is so daring and courageous. Besides, he seems he is about the same age as us. Yes, he is now a marquis and owns a city. I heard that he came back to the Celestial Academy." Yangzhou had a soft smile on her face. She remembered that day. When Lin Feng battled against Haimo, she would never forget him. He was so young, yet so frivolous and courageous. "Moron," said the girl next to her. She sounded a bit cold. "Lin Feng is a marquis, so what? And even though he battled against Haimo, so what? That's a battle between cultivators of the 5th or 6th Ling Qi layer, however. Du Gu Shang is the 4th ranked disciple of the Celestial Academy and has already broken through to the 8th Ling Qi layer. He is the most majestic man alive. The 4th cultivation room is his. How could Lin Feng rival him? Besides, Du Gu Shang is also a noble cultivator. He is from the Du Gu clan, which is extremely influential. Yangzhou, if you could even have a one-night stand with Du Gu Shang, that would already be good. Don't expect anything more. Why don't you go and have a one-night stand with him?" said Yangzhou while frowning and feeling annoyed. "You know nothing. If Du Gu Shang was interested in me, I wouldn't feel offended," said the girl while smiling coldly. "Really?" said a voice coming from behind in the tone of a joke. These girls were surprised. They immediately turned around and saw an arrogant-looking young man, Du Gu Shang. At that moment, Du Gu Shang was looking at Yangzhou. He said in the tone of a joke, "Lin Feng is nothing. How could he rival me? You dare be interested in him instead of me. You must be blind." The silhouette that Yangzhou saw in front of her looked conceited, filled with arrogance, the arrogance of the aristocracy. Du Gu Shang was a rich and powerful person. Du Gu Shang had heard about Lin Feng's achievements. People were talking about him everywhere. He had even just heard that people were comparing him with Lin Feng. Surprisingly, there were people who dared say that Lin Feng was better than him, like Yangzhou. Du Gu Shang was in a bad mood because of that. What kind of person did this girl think he was? In the entire Celestial Academy, he was always practicing at the top of that tower. Nobody dared to take his position. Even the second in the ranking, Qiang Bai Luo, and the third Wen Aozu. Du Gu Shang thought that because they had never had conflicts, he was different and better than them. He respected Lin Feng even less for him. Comparing him with Lin Feng was a humiliation. "Why couldn't I compare you with Lin Feng? As I see it, Lin Feng is better than you," said Yangzhou when she heard that Du Gu Shang was criticizing Lin Feng, which made Du Gu Shang furious. "Shut the hell up," he shouted. Smack! At that moment, a loud sound filled the air. Yunzai had been slapped in the face, not by Du Gushang, but by one of the girls who was with her. Yunzai, you shut the hell up. Du Gushang is much better than Lin Feng. In front of Du Gushang, Lin Feng is mere trash, a nobody, said the girl extremely coldly. Her words and actions were harsh. When Du Gushang saw that, a big arrogant smile appeared on his face. Indeed, in front of him, Lin Feng was a nobody. At that moment, about 100 meters away from them, a handsome silhouette had appeared. They raised their head and looked at the tall and majestic tower. That young man was precisely the one they were discussing, Lin Feng. Lin Feng then slowly turned his head and looked at Du Gushang and the others. He wanted to go to the cultivation tower and practice there until the end of the year. Then he would go back to Yangzhou City. But at that moment on the road, many people were talking about him. Even at the bottom of the tower, some people were arguing about him. Lin Feng heard every word already, but he couldn't be bothered with them. He didn't feel like going and proving anything to them. They were not worth his time. Many people were talking about him. He couldn't care about everyone. Nature would take its course. But at that moment, a girl was protecting his reputation and had been slapped in the face for defending him. She was being humiliated. Lin Feng frowned. Yunzai, tonight, I will sleep with you. After that, we won't talk of this again, and I will not punish you, said Du Gushang, sounding extremely arrogant. How ridiculous. It was difficult for him to get a woman with his ugly face. He was interested in Yunzai, but if he had said it clearly, it would have been giving her face. But she surprisingly dared say that she found Lin Feng better than him, therefore, he would teach her the power of a noble over the course of the night. Yunzai was stupefied. She was looking at that ugly and disgusting guy who wanted to take advantage of her. It would rather be an honor and a favor for her to sleep with him. What a shameless young man. He thought that he could freely humiliate those beneath him. In fact, it was really that way. Du Gushang really thought he could humiliate anyone as he wished, except for a few exceptions. If you don't reply, I will just help myself, said Du Gushang with a particularly evil smile on his face. Yunzai's facial expression changed again. She turned deathly pale. What a disgusting and hideous man, however, she also felt powerless. Not only did he have a very high status, but he had also broken through to the 8th Ling Qi layer. Relying on his cultivation level and physical strength, he could easily capture her by force and use her as his toy. Yunzai, Du Gushang is giving you a great opportunity. You are lucky. You'd be really shameless if you made him lose face, said the mean girl, trying to flatter Du Gushang at the same time. Yunzai looked even paler. Being sexually assaulted by Du Gushang for an entire night and then abandoned was a stroke of luck. The mean girl was shameless. You're so young and already so cheap, you are one promiscuous flower, said a voice interrupting them. It sounded cold and detached. It shocked the mean girl. She turned around and immediately saw a handsome young man. She frowned and said, "Who are you talking to?" Last time, she hadn't seen Hai Mo and Lin Feng's battle, so she couldn't recognize him. "Apart from you, is there another cheap and trashy girl here?" asked Lin Feng in the tone of a joke. With those kind of girls, the only solution was to be harsher than them. The mean girl was stupefied, but Yunzai suddenly seemed happy. She was blankly staring at the young man in front of her. It was Lin Feng. Surprisingly, it was Lin Feng. Lin Feng had heard her and come to her rescue. As before, he looked natural and unrestrained, but in comparison with before, he looked more mysterious and had a heroic spirit. Du Gushang frowned as well. He didn't recognize Lin Feng either. Last time, during the battle between Hai Mo and Lin Feng, even though almost everybody had seen it, Du Gushang despised Hai Mo, so he didn't go to watch his battle. "Why don't you mind your own business?" said Du Gushang, who looked like he was in a joking mood. Lin Feng coldly looked at Du Gushang. Immediately after, he shook his head in disdain. That guy didn't know him, yet he was talking behind his back. Lin Feng despised these types of filthy people and attached no importance to them. Lin Feng looked at the mean girl and said, "I understand that for you, a one-night stand with anyone is a stroke of luck. And since it is about giving face, it's clear that you have given a great deal of face, and so you are very lucky." Lin Feng was speaking loudly and clearly so that everybody could hear. Then everybody looked at her and laughed. What she said was indeed utterly ridiculous. She was really shameless. "I'm talking to you," said Du Gushang, whose voice was sounding colder and colder. Lin Feng surprisingly wasn't paying attention to him. Du Gushang had a prestigious social status. How could Lin Feng ignore him in front of everybody? Lin Feng slowly turned around and said to Du Gushang, "Do I know you?" Du Gushang was astonished and then smiled coldly. I, of course, don't know you, so you most likely don't know me either. People who know me don't dare ignore me. What's your name? You overestimate yourself, said Lin Feng while smiling and continued. Even though I don't know you, I unfortunately heard your unsavory name, which is normal considering that you show off in front of everybody, Du Gushang. Huh! Du Gushang narrowed his eyes. Lin Feng surprisingly knew who he was but still dared act that way towards him. Since you know who I am, I will show you my methods. Slap your own face, kneel 3 times, and kowtow 9 times. Once you're done, I will forgive all of your mistakes from today. Du Gushang sounded cold and was releasing oppressing energy. His mouth was filled with endless arrogance and coldness. He thought that releasing a little bit of qi and force would be enough to make Lin Feng collapse. However, Lin Feng was calmly standing there, motionless, with a cold smile on his face. His facial expression hadn't changed at all. It actually seemed like Lin Feng hadn't sensed the oppressive energy at all. Slap my own face, kneel 3 times, and kowtow 9 times. Lin Feng raised his head and slowly walked towards Du Gushang. Du Gushang was surprised and released more and more of his qi. With so little qi and force, don't you think that you're making a fool of yourself? Said Lin Feng, making the whole crowd look on while astonished. What an insane guy, humiliating Du Gushang. Besides, Lin Feng was a military student, so his fellow military students were all excited, especially since Du Gushang was a political student. You can only talk big, said Du Gushang, who released an even stronger energy which pressures the entire atmosphere. Around Lin Feng's body appeared sword qi. It was extremely powerful. His entire body was like a sword, extremely sharp. The crowd was astonished. Their hearts were pounding. These energies were terrifying. Was this the same Lin Feng who had fought against Hai Mo? Du Gushang also started shaking violently. He was stupefied by Lin Feng. How is this possible? How could you be so strong? Du Gushang couldn't believe his eyes. He had never seen Lin Feng. Besides, he was so young. At that moment, he was releasing sword energy. The energy looked extremely solid and thick. At the academy, there wasn't such a strong student. While Du Gushang's heart was pounding, Lin Feng had arrived in front of him in the blink of an eye. The earth fusion wasn't only embodied by Lin Feng's swordplay. It also affected Lin Feng's speed. He had broken through to a special cultivation dimension. Since he was in perfect symbiosis with the earth, he could move using the power of the earth. WHAP? Du Gushang's body was blown away. A large red mark appeared on his face. The mark was from an open hand slap. The crowd was stupefied. How scary. He was a cultivator of the 8th Ling Qi layer, and he was also ranked 4th amongst the top disciples of the academy, surprisingly. He couldn't withstand a single slap from Lin Feng and was sent flying. The mean girl was also astonished. Her mouth was wide open. She looked as if she had seen something absolutely extraordinary. Du Gushang, who was extremely powerful and influential, had been slapped in the face by a young man. Who was he? Yunzai looked happy and amazed. Lin Feng was so frivolous and unruly. The view of Du Gushang getting slapped was even more shocking than seeing Hai Mo being defeated. All right, he deserves to be one of the military students. These students in governmental affairs can only talk big, but in reality, they cannot withstand a single blow, said the people in the crowd. As expected, many people couldn't stand Du Gushang. Du Gushang's facial expression was terrifying. He looked like an injured animal. He was looking at Lin Feng in an ice-cold way and said, "Who are you?" "Me," said Lin Feng while pointing at himself, and then immediately said, sounding cold and detached, "I am a nobody. I cannot rival you," said Lin Feng in the tone of a joke. Yunzai giggled. She couldn't help but burst into laughter. If Lin Feng was a nobody, what was Du Gushang? A nobody? For a moment, Du Gushang didn't understand. Then he heard some people laugh who were saying, "How ridiculous. He was making fun of him, saying that he couldn't rival with him, but now that he's facing him, he got slapped silly and cannot even withstand a single blow. If I were him, I wouldn't in the Imperial City. I would get the hell out of here and run as far as I could go." When Du Gushang heard that person making fun of him, a hideous expression appeared on his face. Lin Feng. He finally understood thanks to that person who was making fun of him. The one who had just slapped him was Lin Feng. He had just said that Lin Feng couldn't rival him. At that moment, the mean girl was shaking. Lin Feng, that was Lin Feng. Actually, he was much stronger than Du Gushang. "You will regret what you did today," threatened Du Gushang, sounding cold and detached. Immediately after, he turned around and started leaving. He had been humiliated. He couldn't stay there. Wait, said Lin Feng in a cold tone. Du Gushang thus stopped and slowly turned around. He then looked at Lin Feng in a cold way. Are you thinking of leaving like that? Said Lin Feng as if he was amused. What do you want? Said Du Gushang, who was surprised. Would Lin Feng dare to continue? A moment ago, you wanted me to slap my own face, kneel 3 times, and kowtow 9 times in front of you. Now you found out that you are much weaker than me. Do you think that you can leave that easily? Lin Feng made it sound like he had no choice, but to follow Du Gushang's lead and continued. What kind of person do you think I am? When the crowd heard Lin Feng, they got excited. They wanted to see what Lin Feng would do to Du Gushang. Show me how it is done, slap your own face, kneel 3 times, and kowtow 9 times in front of me, said Lin Feng, sounding imposing, domineering, and whose voice was even colder. His smile had disappeared, and his tone had become sharp like his sword. You want me to slap my own face, kneel 3 times, and kowtow 9 times in front of you, said Du Gushang, who couldn't believe it. Lin Feng dared request such a thing from him. It seems that when I speak, people like you think they can ignore me, therefore I will have to do it myself, said Lin Feng in a low voice. Suddenly, he rushed forward like a madman. His silhouette vanished in a flash without hesitation. He unleashed an attack. Du Gushang's heart was pounding. How fast was Lin Feng? In a flash, Lin Feng had arrived in front of him, and Lin Feng's finger was pointing at him. The tip of his finger was filled with sword qi, and it suddenly rushed towards Du Gushang at incredible speed. Hastily, Du Gushang raised his fist to block the attack, but suddenly, a long and horrible shriek filled the air. Du Gushang's face suddenly turned deathly pale. His fist had been impaled by Lin Feng's finger. WHAP! Lin Feng slapped Du Gushang once more, and the sound echoed through the atmosphere. WHAP! 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 Lin Feng was unceasingly slapping Du Gushang's face. The crowd was watching, blankly staring at that scene. Du Gushang's arrogant face was going through a thorough beating, and his heart was filling with coldness. Du Gushang had been ignorant. Lin Feng was playing with him as if he was a toy. Lin Feng was violently slapping his face in front of everyone. Since I have to do it myself, there is an extra fee included. When Lin Feng stopped talking, 2 loud sounds successively filled the atmosphere. Du Gushang was kneeling down and crawling on the ground and kowtowing in front of Lin Feng. He was extremely proud and usually so arrogant. This was a huge humiliation for him. His heart was pounding and he was sweating cold sweat. What a cruel guy. If I am a nobody who cannot rival you, what are you doing kneeling down and kowtowing me? Said Lin Feng in a disdainful way while glaring at Du Gushang, who was crawling on the ground. Du Gushang had just broken through to the 8th Ling Qi layer. When facing a cultivator in the Earth fusion dimension, he basically couldn't withstand a single finger. Lin Feng had already fought against cultivators of the Xuan Qi layer and nearly killed one. Du Gushang lowered his head. His heart was filled with endless hatred and wrath. A moment later, a foot pressed against his lower jaw and he heard Lin Feng's cold voice. Get lost! Lin Feng only said these 2 words, and Du Gushang's body was sent flying away. Lin Feng didn't look at him anymore. He then turned to Yangzhou, warmly smiled at her and said, If you want me to take care of her, I'll immediately handle her. By her, Lin Feng obviously meant the mean girl. At that moment, the mean girl was shaking and her heart was pounding. Yangzhou just said, in a cold and detached way in the tone of a joke, It's best not to touch such filthy people. All right, forget it then. I don't like touching them either, said Lin Feng while laughing softly. Immediately after, he pointed at the 5th room of Cultivation Tower. It was empty. It was the place Du Gushang had seized. You want to go into the Cultivation Tower? Yangzhou shivered. She looked at Lin Feng and said in a soft voice, I cannot go in. I'll help you, said Lin Feng while smiling. He grabbed her hand and started walking. Immediately after, Lin Feng jumped into the air. Yangzhou was having a panic attack. She closed her eyes in fear and she could barely open them. She realized that she was high in the air and flying. Her heart was pounding from fear of falling. Then she looked at the handsome young man on her side, and her heart was filled with endless softness and tenderness. What an amazing agility technique, thought the crowd when they saw Lin Feng and the girl. He was high up in the air. How powerful. When he arrived high in the air, Lin Feng stood on the energy from the atmosphere and started walking on the invisible force. Lin Feng and Yangzhou shot across the sky like an arrow and landed on the 5th room of the Cultivation Tower, which was a few hundred meters in the air. When Yangzhou saw the small silhouettes on the ground beneath the tower, she had the impression she was in a dream and nothing was real. Train hard, said Lin Feng while smiling at Yangzhou. Immediately after, he moved again and was immediately on the 3rd room. He immediately entered in a room. There was nobody in the 3rd room either. It belonged to the death god Yangzhou. Lin Feng obviously could use the room if he pleased. If there had been nobody in the other rooms, he would have gone there as well, regardless of who they belonged to. Concerning Yunzai, when she saw Lin Feng move away, her dream to practice in that cultivation tower had become reality, but she wasn't excited in her heart. She felt like she had lost something. Everything was like a dream, but that natural, unrestrained, and frivolous young man was just a passerby. He was so outstanding that she would only be able to look up at him in the sky, spreading his wings and flying away. What Yunzai didn't know was that, at that moment, the two girls with whom she had come with were still down on the ground and were jealous of her. They envied her because having the opportunity to practice in that tower was something that they were all yearning for. Concerning the mean girl at that moment, her heart was filled with regret. The people in the crowd had different facial expressions. Lin Feng seemed to be a person that nobody could prevent from moving forwards. At that moment, nothing of what had happened was present in Lin Feng's heart. At that moment in his heart and thoughts, there were only three things, the strong cultivator's memories that were separated into three parts. They were all extremely powerful. The surplus souls technique could divide the soul into many surplus souls filled with extreme power, the power to control the 10,000 things of creation. Lin Feng was drowned in these memories. He was inspecting the martial skills and agility techniques that the Zun cultivator had been using. They were extremely powerful. There were also things about fabricating weapons and concocting pills. They required the usage of surplus souls. After he learned how to master the surplus souls technique and having to strengthening his soul, then it was possible to practice the other techniques. Everything would be easier to learn with a stronger soul. Besides, the power to control energy would be enhanced. Therefore, Lin Feng, after analyzing the situation, had decided to practice the surplus souls technique. Before being able to learn how to use surplus souls, Lin Feng had to first comprehend the soul and how it functioned. It would enable him to have a clear and distinct perception of the existence of his soul. It would enable him to pierce through the mysteries of the soul. He would be able to transfer his thoughts directly into his soul. This was, however, the most basic step. The technique included a method to visualize the soul and understand its complexities. Besides, Lin Feng had access to the Earth fusion dimension and had a strong power of comprehension. He only needed a few days to master the method of visualizing his soul. Lin Feng didn't know that the strong cultivator, during his training, had required 2 years to be able to see his soul. Lin Feng could do it in such a short time thanks to the Earth fusion, and because his soul was already very powerful. At that moment in Lin Feng's mind, he could see a dark illusion of himself, as if it was his dark self, a black silhouette, as if was the essence of his soul. In his previous life, Lin Feng didn't dare to imagine looking at a spirit. On the path of cultivation, it was said that after dying, one could see their own soul. Besides, it was also said that it was possible to transfer the power of the souls. The second step of the technique of the surplus souls was the spirit movement. It was about comprehending the soul on a much higher level. It was about being able to control the soul and move it to your will. Otherwise, it wouldn't be possible to use the surplus soul, and it would be useless. In comparison with the first step, which was also about understanding the soul, Lin Feng found the second step was much easier. He was quickly able to achieve the spirit movement, and even managed to make his soul leave his body and move as a spirit. The third step of the technique of the surplus souls was the incomplete soul. It was the most critical step. This step was different from the two others. The incomplete soul was the main part of the technique which made it so powerful. This step was extremely important. While practicing cultivation, the soul would separate into many surplus souls, 1 or 2, but a strong cultivator could obtain 100 or 1,000 surplus souls. The most terrifying cultivators who existed could obtain billions of surplus souls to an almost endless number. The strength of the soul was as vast and powerful as the universe. Lin Feng was sitting cross-legged. At that moment in the air, there was a shadow floating in the atmosphere. If somebody had been there and could see that shadow, they would have realized that it looked like a perfect double for Lin Feng. That was Lin Feng's soul. At that moment, Lin Feng closed his eyes and took a deep breath. There was an image in Lin Feng's hand. He then exhaled and said in a low voice, "Split!" After that, an invisible strength spread through his body, and a violent pain overcame all of his senses. He started shaking, and his heart was pounding so hard it felt like it would burst. How painful! Lin Feng had the feeling he was being cut into pieces by 1,000 swords. The pain was similar to when his celestial spirit was awakened. Lin Feng immediately fainted. He couldn't stand the intense pain that filled his consciousness. At that moment, Lin Feng felt another pain within his soul. Lin Feng's soul started to struggle. A small black piece was reluctantly torn from Lin Feng's soul. That black piece turned into a surplus soul. At that moment, Lin Feng's body was shaking and shivering. He was agonizing. The pain was unreal. Finally, the surplus soul was formed and floated in the air. It was a very small part of Lin Feng's soul. His entire body was covered with a cold sweat. Lin Feng couldn't help but smile wryly. Practicing cultivation required an infinite amount of determination. He had only managed to make a single surplus soul. The technique of the surplus souls was revered, but many cultivators wouldn't dare practice it because of the risks. If a cultivator wanted to divide his spirit into 1,000 surplus souls, he had to endure terrible pain for each soul. Besides, there was still a chance that it could fail and not form a surplus soul. Sometimes, they would even stop when splitting their soul as the pain was too much. Only those who had an iron determination could practice such techniques. Without determination and willpower, the body and the mind would not be able to handle such incredible pain. Lin Feng's heart fluctuated again. That small black surplus soul floating in the air moved towards the whole soul. They seemed to be in harmony with each other as if they were connected, yet they remained separate. Lin Feng calmly took a few breaths, which allowed him to calm down. His heart started to violently pound again as his body became tense. This was what it took to understand the soul. Suddenly, a new surplus soul appeared. With an incredible strength, it was possible to reach the heavens, to receive other people's worship, but how difficult was it? One had to go through incredible pain, but to what extent? Only those with an indestructible willpower and determination could reach the heavens and were able to reach great achievements. The Zun layer cultivator could kill millions of people and be worshipped, while a weak cultivator could only get bullied and humiliated. For example, during the war, Han Mo and Yan Yu Ping Sheng had appeared. They could kill a few thousand soldiers very easily. With them involved, it was easy to determine the outcome of a battle. One attack carried out by them from the sky could annihilate an endless amount of soldiers on the ground. A melody from a zither could leave the battlefield littered with corpses. These people were extremely strong. Lin Feng needed to become stronger. He needed to reach the heavens and have the power to kill anyone who would bully him. Lin Feng wasn't aware of how much time had elapsed. At that moment, outside of the tower, there were many people who were calmly waiting. Amongst them was from the government of the Imperial City. Lin Feng's titles were ready, and he could receive them officially, but he was still in the cultivation room, which could not be disturbed. The person sent by the government didn't leave. He also didn't disturb Lin Feng. He was only waiting there calmly. He didn't look impatient or annoyed at all. Many people were waiting outside of the cultivation tower as well and were surprised. That person had already arrived a few days back and was surprisingly still waiting for Lin Feng. Lin Feng was really prestigious. That person from the government didn't even dare to disturb Lin Feng in his cultivation room. He was waiting there even though he didn't know how much time Lin Feng would need before being done with his practice. At that moment, when looking up at the majestic tower, more precisely at the fourth room, the door of the closed cultivation room started moving and slowly opened itself. The crowd was stupefied. A silhouette came out of it. That silhouette immediately jumped in the air, and at the moment when it fell down to the ground, an invisible energy emerged and positioned itself to cushion the shock. The silhouette gently landed on the ground. That person was wearing a long gown, carrying an ancient sword on his back. It was precisely Lin Feng. When the person from the Imperial City saw him come down, they smiled and went towards him while saying, "Lin Feng, Your Highness has asked us to come and hand this certificate to you which certifies your titles. From now on, you are the owner of Yangzhou City." After that, the person handed over a certificate to Lin Feng which was purple and gold in color. "Thank you and sorry for the trouble," said Lin Feng while receiving his certificate. It was written in big and majestic characters, "Kai Zai Officer Marquis Yangzhou City Fief. You're welcome. I have fulfilled my duty. I'm leaving now." That person smiled again and immediately turned around as they abruptly left. That person had been waiting there for a few days to personally deliver the titles to Lin Feng. Lin Feng packed up his titles and smiled. He turned around and looked at a person who was glaring at him. It was Du Gushang who was staring at him with an evil look. On that day, after having been humiliated by Lin Feng, he had gone back to his clan to bring people to kill Lin Feng, but his clan refused to fight against Lin Feng. In the future, his clan forbade him from causing Lin Feng any trouble. Written on Lin Feng's robe was a name, Duan Wuya. If he killed Lin Feng, he had to remember that he was part of Duan Wuya's faction. Even though Du Gushang hated him, he still had no say in the matter. If he didn't receive the help of his clan, relying on his own strength, he couldn't kill Lin Feng. Lin Feng raised his head, looked at another room of the cultivation tower. The door was still closed. Yunzai was probably still inside. Du Gushang, if anything happens to her, no one can save you, said Lin Feng extremely coldly. Deadly qi was released from his body. Du Gushang was astonished and terrified. He was shaking. Lin Feng had only said a few words, but it had been enough to terrify him. Du Gushang's facial expression was extremely ugly. He really wanted to teach Yunzai a lesson, but Lin Feng was threatening him. Besides, being threatened by Lin Feng was a new humiliation. His cheeks were burning. Everybody was looking at him and laughing. "Don't forget what I said," said Lin Feng indifferently. Immediately after, he left. The end of the year was approaching. Lin Feng had to go back to Yangzhou City. On an ancient road, there were many people on horses galloping towards Yangzhou City. Galloping on the ancient road was notably one girl. She was wearing a red Chang Pao. She looked powerful and was also very beautiful. Her eyes revealed her arrogance. Kayan, this time when we arrive in Yangzhou City, you will be able to demonstrate your extraordinary talents and abilities. Everybody in the clan will be extremely proud of you. At that moment, a young man said that to girl in the red Chang Pao. He looked excited. That young man was Lin Hong. Next to Lin Hong was Lin Clan, his sister. Everybody in the Lin Clan was proud to be associated with Lin Clan. These days, Lin Clan had become more mature. The qi emerging from her body was extraordinary. 1 year in the Imperial City had enabled Lin Clan to advance from the first Ling Qi layer to break through to the fourth Ling Qi layer. She was a real genius. She had gone through such difficult training to accomplish those results. Lin Clan wanted to become a dragon amongst mortals. She was arrogant and wanted to look down on other people from above. Such a personality required her to have a strict determination in order to unceasingly become stronger. "Brother, you are also quite strong. There aren't many who can rival with you in Yangzhou City," said Lin Clan calmly. The sound of her voice floated in the wind and reached Lin Hong's ears, which made a smile appear on his face. After having acquired both wealth and prestige, they were going back to their hometown where everybody would be proud of them. Kayan, I'm still too weak in comparison with you," said Lin Hong while smiling. Actually, she was indeed much stronger than him. Besides, one of the 8 high officials, Chu Zhanpeng, was interested in her, which made a lot of people envious. Lin Clan and her friends were all disciples of the holy courtyard of Zhu Yue, and they were more talented than Lin Hong, but he was happily following his sister in the group. Chu Zhanpeng was their source of inspiration. Lin Feng was the piece of trash that the Lin Clan expelled. The last time they saw him, he was extremely strong. They hadn't seen him for a while, but no doubt that he had become even stronger. Lin Clan didn't know about Lin Feng's new title of Marquis. Lin Hong and her had been practicing in a cultivation room until the annual meeting. They wanted to be as strong as possible when they went back to Yangzhou City. Right after leaving her cultivation room, she jumped on horseback and rushed to Yangzhou City. On the same ancient road, there was another girl wearing fire-red clothes. She was also riding a horse and rushing to Yangzhou City. Lin Feng looked at the young man next to her. She was smiling softly and tenderly. "Du Gu, thank you for accompanying me to Yangzhou City," said Lin Feng. She was a girl in love. Du Gu Zio was a member of the Du Gu clan. The Du Gu clan was a clan tied to the imperial court. He had powerful connections. Besides, he was also extremely powerful. He was Lin Feng's boyfriend. Lin Feng and Du Gu Zio had been in a relationship for 2 years now, but it was secret. Lin Feng didn't take offense, though, because she was proud to be Du Gu Zio's girlfriend, and she was in love. Lin Feng was the daughter of the Lin Clan of Yangzhou, but in comparison with the Du Gu clan who had ministers within the court, the Lin Clan was nothing. They were not even worth looking at. Lin Feng knew this was the case, but Du Gu Zio had accepted to go accompany her to Yangzhou City, which was giving her a great deal of face. She was very touched by him accompanying her. "We've been together for so long, I told you, I will help you rise through the social ladder," said Du Guxiang calmly. Lin Feng looked delighted. Obtaining a higher social status was her biggest ambition. Lin Feng urged on her horse, which dashed faster, making her long hair and red clothes flutter in the wind. Her heart was galloping at full speed, just like the horse. Lin Clan of the Lin Clan, I wonder if you can fight against me. Lin Feng looked extremely impatient. This time in Yangzhou City, everybody would see Du Gu Zio escorting her and would be surprised. At that moment, Lin Clan and Lin Feng were going back to Yangzhou City as heroes and expected everyone to worship them. They thought that everybody was going to consider them as goddesses. Lin Clan and Lin Feng didn't know that. At the moment when they had already been traveling for a while, rushing over to Yangzhou City, outside of the Imperial City, two extremely precious dragon colt horses had just departed. There was a handsome young man and a beautiful young girl riding these two dragon colt horses. The boy was handsome and clean. He looked heroic. The girl was wearing clothes whiter than snow and was extremely beautiful. She looked like a celestial being. Lin Feng turned around and looked at the Imperial City from outside. Life was so fleeting. Time passed at the speed of light. Nobody could predict anything. Lin Feng could still remember the year before when he and his father were expelled from the Lin Clan. Back then, he had shown Yangzhou City how strong he was and returned to the Yunhai sect. But when he arrived at the Yunhai sect, it was destroyed and its members had been slaughtered. Lin Feng had then gone to the Imperial City and had joined the Celestial Academy. Concerning the future, it was filled with uncertainties. A year had already passed, and Lin Feng was just as determined and motivated as before. He was high-spirited and full of determination. That year hadn't been like the others. He had gotten familiar with this new world and gained his own power. For someone who had come from another world, he had quickly become accustomed to the world of cultivation. He had broken through to the 8th Ling Qi layer and had learned how to penetrate into a special cultivation dimension, the Earth Fusion dimension. Everybody found his talent amazing. Lin Feng was looking at Meng Qing, who was riding next to him. He had a soft and tender smile on his face. It had only been a short time since he had met the young girl, but she was following him everywhere. Without complaining, she just silently and secretly followed him everywhere. Everything she did was for Lin Feng, as if that girl had been sent from heaven to watch over him. Meng Qing noticed that Lin Feng was staring at her. She had a strange facial expression for a second, and then looked at the vast and boundless road before them. She was calm, serene, yet as cold as ice, like an ice goddess. "Meng Qing, do you remember the first time we rode a horse?" said Lin Feng while smiling. Meng Qing slightly nodded, of course she knew. "Well then, we should ride one horse like we did back then," said Lin Feng with a sly smile. He then jumped up in the air and immediately landed behind Meng Qing. The dragon colt horse neighed and galloped even faster, which made Meng Qing's body lean backwards against Lin Feng's chest. He took advantage of the situation and took Meng Qing into his arms. Both of them were extremely close to each other, as if they were in an embrace. That move made Meng Qing shiver from head to toe. "This guy? I will lead the horse," said Lin Feng while smile wholeheartedly. He then grabbed Meng Qing's hands, which were holding the reins, and the horse galloped even faster. When Meng Qing sensed Lin Feng's hands holding hers, she felt an electric shock run through her body. She could feel Lin Feng's chest pressed against her body. She had a strange sensation in her heart, as if she was floating on clouds. She didn't push him back. She just calmly sat on the horse, leaning against Lin Feng's chest. It was very calm, peaceful, and warm. In a distant place, quite far from Yangzhou City, there was a chain of mountains. Surprisingly, there were many people on one of the mountains, and they were very agitated. These people all released a strong qi. Some of them were fighting. Some others were practicing cultivation to the side. On the mountain, there were also many horses, Kai Zai armored horses. In the mountains, above a precipice, was a single silhouette. That man was closing their eyes and could feel the wind against his body. He had the impression of being absent from the material world. That person stayed like that for a while and then abruptly opened his eyes. The dazzling light of a blade flashed through his eyes. On that person's face, a huge word was carved, Dao. That person looked extremely brutal and aggressive. "Blade of the wind," said that person in a low voice. A long blade cut through the air like it was a blade made from wind. It was almost invisible and inaudible, except for a magnificent and resplendent silver light which was diffused. Catcha, a small sound emerged, and in the distance, a huge rock was cut into pieces. He. Ba Dao seemed satisfied of himself. He put his blade back in his back and gazed into the distance. Immediately after, in the distance, he saw two silhouettes riding one horse coming towards the mountain where there were many people. He finally arrived. When Ba Dao saw the two people approaching, he seemed really happy and smiled. The Kai Zai troops had been waiting there in the mountains for them. They were waiting to go to Yangzhou City. The end of the year in Yangzhou City was a happy event. The juniors who were practicing outside of their hometown usually came back to see their families. At that moment, Yangzhou City was lively. The guards raised their heads on the top on the gate. They looked domineering and majestic. There was a continuous flow of pedestrians whispering things in the city. Have you heard that the prodigy of the Lin Clan, Lin Clan, came back to Yangzhou City? Now, Lin Clan is terrific. She is a student of the holy courtyard of Zhu Yue and has a high social status. She is even stronger than some elders of her clan. Besides, some students of the holy courtyard followed her. That's really amazing, said some to one of the crowd in a low voice. They looked envious. Lin Clan was amazingly strong and was the pride of the Lin Clan. Thanks to her, the rise of the Lin Clan was destined. Hee, so what? Don't you know that when Lin Feng came back, Lin Clan organized a grand banquet and many noble people attended? Besides, the Lin Clan wasn't invited. Lin Clan did it on purpose because his daughter Lin Feng has brought back a young man with her. His name is Du Gu Zio. He is related to some of the imperial ministers, one person who controls several thousands upon thousands. I don't dare think about such people, said the person next to them. They were surprised. Everywhere in Zhu Yue, an imperial minister was an extremely high status. They were extraordinary people. Lin Feng had the good fortune to get acquainted with someone whose relatives were imperial ministers. It would enable the Lin Clan to rise splendidly. How terrific! The Lin Clan and the Lin Clan both want to rise. The two other clans cannot rival them any longer. All they can do is side with those in power. Absolutely, last year, during the annual competition of Yangzhou City, Lin Feng and Lin Clan were both extremely strong, but after that, Bai Yuanhao had appeared. He was even stronger than them. Oh, I just remembered there was Lin Feng as well, the one who was expelled from the Lin Clan. I don't know what he's been doing recently. Lin Feng? What could he do? He doesn't have an influential background. He must be leading a vagrant life and roaming the streets. Maybe Lin Clan and Lin Feng have already gotten rid of him. And even if they haven't, Lin Clan and Lin Feng have become so strong that Lin Feng could never catch up with them, said someone while sighing and shaking their head. At the annual competition of Yangzhou City, neither Lin Clan nor Lin Feng had been the most brilliant young talent. Instead, it had been an extremely frivolous young man, Lin Feng. These days, they hadn't received any news. Maybe he had died somewhere outside. Of course, nobody was really sure. Everyone was talking about Lin Clan and Lin Feng, the two prodigies of Yangzhou City. Every year at the end of the year, people used to gossip about the strong cultivators each year. But that year was particularly exciting. There were these two extremely strong and powerful female cultivators, and they were coming back stronger than ever. Occasionally on the road, Lin Feng's name could be heard as well. People were usually just mentioning his name without being too interested. Boom, boom. Noises were emerging from the distance and spread through the atmosphere. It sounded like galloping horses, but it didn't seem plausible. How could horses emit such a concentrated and synchronized sound while galloping? Only a magnificent army with veterans could emit such sounds. The crowd in Yangzhou City was, however, still walking around in the city, leisurely and carefree. They didn't notice anything strange. Boom, 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 boom. The sound was getting louder and louder. Many people were a bit surprised, trying to concentrate and listen to see if there was anything strange. Besides, the sound was getting more and more intense. The ground was even starting to shake. The crowd was stupefied. They looked in the direction of the Yangzhou City gate. In the distance, it seemed like there was a cloud of dust rising into the sky. What's going on? All the people were gradually noticing it. There was a massive cloud of dust. Besides, that sound was really the sound of galloping horses. How loud, it made their hearts tremble. Some red silhouettes gradually appeared in their field of vision. They were all wearing red armor. The horses were red as well. They all emitted a strong qi as they rushed through the air. They were galloping towards Yangzhou City at full speed, and a cloud of dust was rising around them, looking like a hurricane. Boom, boom, boom. Even though the guards at the top of the city gate had a position which enabled them to see into the distance, what was moving towards them seemed like a boundless dust cloud. Their hearts were pounding like crazy. An army? Surprisingly, it was an army. That was a terrifying and well-trained army of veterans. It was the first time that the city guards saw such a strong qi. Such a huge army in a perfect formation was also something breathtaking. They had the impression that their hearts were beating in their throats. The guards weren't the only ones. The population was also panicking while the army was moving nearer and nearer. Surprisingly, they were armored horses. It was a huge army of armored horses. Most people had never seen such a huge army of armored horses. It seemed like the ground would cave in under their hoofs. The ground was violently shaking. Everybody was absolutely dumbstruck. Why would such an army come to Yangzhou City? Quickly, quickly, close the gate, shouted some guards on top of the gate in panic. Shut the hell up, we have to keep it open. If somebody closes the gate, I'll kill him, shouted the leader of the guards. He was furious at those bastards who wanted to die. With such an army of armored horses, if the gate was closed, a single attack would be enough to destroy it. Besides, if they made the army angry, such an army could massacre the entire city. Amongst the guards on the city gate, none of them had the courage to fight. They were scared to death, and their faces deathly pale. None of them had ever seen such a huge army in perfect formation. That sort of army was only seen on a battlefield, but not in a small town like Yangzhou City. Quickly, go and tell the head of the city, hurry up, shouted one of the guards. Obviously, they didn't know what to do. All they could think about was telling Lin Feng. Roger, said a few guards when they heard the order and then immediately left. After all, who wanted to stay there? If the army attacked, they would all die. After that, when the vast army arrived near the Yangzhou City gate, they slowed down. They stopped before the gate of the city and didn't enter it. Even though the army was just calmly waiting there, they were still releasing extremely strong qi. It enveloped the gate of Yangzhou City as well as the crowd on and around it. Everyone within the city felt like they were being suffocated by the intense qi. How monstrous. The red armor, red horses, the image was shocking, almost like a psychological attack. It was too much for the crowd. They had never thought that someday such an army would appear in Yangzhou City. At that moment amongst the army, a silhouette emerged and raised their head, looked at the people on top of the gate and said, "Listen, from now on, Yangzhou City is the fief of the Kaizai Marquis. Everything in Yangzhou City now belongs to the officer of the Kaizai army. Now bring the head of the city to come and greet him." The Kaizai Marquis, the Kaizai officer, how powerful and majestic. Besides, he was making the head of the city come to greet them. They definitely had an extremely high social status. So that's how it was. The Kaizai Marquis was the owner of Yangzhou City, but nobody knew who this person was. The crowd felt a bit relieved. Since the fief of Yangzhou City belonged to the Kaizai Marquis, the army wasn't going to attack the city. That huge army hadn't come with malicious intent. "Go. Quickly bring the head of the city here," shouted the leader of the guards on the top of the gate to one guard who wasn't moving. That person nodded and abruptly left in the direction of the government. He hadn't clearly heard the words of the Kaizai soldiers, though. He had only heard when he was told to bring the head of the city to greet them. The government was a huge and vast place. There were tables everywhere. The head of the city, Lin Feng, had organized an annual banquet to which many wealthy and noble cultivators were participating. He hadn't invited the Lin Clan, but the atmosphere was pleasant and lively at that moment. Many people were proposing toasts. It seemed that Lin Feng was extremely proud because of his new son-in-law, and he was so excited that he was unceasingly drinking. "Master, master!" At that moment, a worried voice spread in the air, interrupting the crowd. Lin Feng frowned and looked at the distance, seeing a guard worriedly and hastily rushing over to him. "A huge army is outside the city, and we don't know who they are and what they are doing here," said the guard, who was uninterruptedly sweating. The crowd was stupefied. An army had come to the city. At that moment, another silhouette appeared and was running in their direction. "Stop," said Lin Feng. "Are you here because of the army too? What is that army doing right now? They want you to go and greet them," said the second guard who had arrived. Lin Feng frowned and looked pensive. "Tell their leader to come here, pay his respects, and apologize for his offense." At that moment, a cold and detached voice came from the host's seat. It was Du Guziao. He was furious and half-drunk already. Surprisingly, there were people who dared disturb him during the banquet, and besides that, they also wanted Lin Feng to come and greet them. Since Du Guziao was there, they had to give him face. He was there, so no matter who it was, they had to come pay respects and respectfully apologize for offending him. Many people sighed. He was really worthy of his social status. He was extremely strong. They were all panicking, and he instead ordered the troublemakers to come and apologize for their offense. Du Guziao was wildly arrogant and presumptuous. The guards looked petrified and nervous. "But there is no but. Tell him to get over here and apologize for his offense. Say that Du Gu Xiao gave the order, otherwise they will regret the consequences." Du Gu Xiao stood up and released some cold qi. His voice was ice cold as well. The guard was surprised and blankly staring at Du Gu Xiao. When he saw the coldness in his eyes, he immediately nodded and said, "Roger." When they finished talking, the two guards abruptly left. "All right, everybody can continue. Let's not let such events ruin our banquet," said Lin Feng while raising his glass and smiling. Everybody raised their glass and laughed heartily. Concerning Du Gu Xiao, he went back to his seat and looked calm. In such a small city, no matter how strong the person was, they had to obey him and apologize for their offense. The Kaizai troops were calmly waiting outside of the city. At that moment, one guard came back from the government building. He climbed to the top of the gate and looked at the vast and boundless army. He couldn't help but shake from head to toe. "Tell him to get over here and apologize for his offense." The guard was thinking about these words, and they did not sit well in his chest. If he said these words out loud, wouldn't they just kill him? "Open your mouth," said an aggressive voice piercing the guard's ears. The guard was shaking. Immediately after, he closed his eyes and said, "The head of the city said that you should go and apologize for your offense." When he finished talking, the guard felt as if he had been relieved from a huge burden. But when the other guards heard what he said, they were astonished. They were all shaking from head to toe while thinking about the reaction of the army. How did that arrogant bastard dare to tell the Kaizai troops such an audacious thing? When the Kaizai troops heard the words, they started to release an incredible amount of qi, which created a hurricane which rushed towards the city gate. The entire crowd suddenly felt extremely cold. How cold? That qi was piercingly cold, to the extent that it made everyone feel a shiver run down their spines. Lin Feng, on his dragon colt horse, moved forwards. Lin Feng, was he really this brave? He was wearing a mask, but under his mask he had an incredibly evil grin. Lin Feng said in a cold tone, "We have been invited to go to the government building to apologize." "Roger," shouted the troops in unison, which caused panic within the crowd. They brandished their spears and headed towards Yangzhou City. Lin Feng's voice wasn't loud, but when the guards and the crowd heard that the troops were going to the government for an apology, they felt that this was not a good thing for the Lin Clan. The young man riding the dragon colt horse was probably their officer. How majestic, he could say a few words and the entire army obeyed him. Boom, boom, the ground started shaking once again. The Kaizai troops were galloping in perfect harmony, which sent terrifying booms through the atmosphere, sounding like thunder. The hearts of the people in the crowd were pounding. The Kaizai army transformed into a huge red dragon as it entered Yangzhou City. That huge red dragon seemed like it was flying through the city. At that moment, the people were panicking. None of them dared to block the way of the Kaizai troops. Everybody was moving aside. What a strong and powerful army. Where are they from? Why have they come to Yangzhou City? The people of Yangzhou City were asking themselves many questions. When they saw that huge army with their own eyes, they had the feeling that their heart would explode in their chest. They were way too majestic. The qi they were releasing was so strong that the people in the crowd had the feeling that their legs lost all power. Some of them were completely frozen, not daring to move. In the government building, the atmosphere was still lively and joyful. People were still merry and drinking. At that moment, the ground started shaking as if there was an earthquake. The people present at the banquet were suddenly stupefied and frowned. Immediately after, the noise of the Kaizai horses galloping became louder and was unceasingly spreading through the atmosphere. What's going on? What the hell is this? Each and every single person who was present at the banquet stood up. Their facial expressions growing rigid. That noise was frightening. What was happening outside? Lin Feng frowned and gazed into the distance outside the building. He looked lost in thought and seemed to be contemplating the size of the army. "Father, do not worry. Du Gu Xiao is here. The only reason why such a large army is coming here is because they want to apologize for their mistakes," said Lin Feng while slightly smiling. Du Gu Xiao, with his social status, was not scared of any army. "All right." Lin Feng slightly nodded and said, "All right, everyone, let's drink more. They are coming here to apologize." The guests listened to him, but they couldn't ease the fear in their hearts. Were these people really coming to apologize? Why did the guests have the feeling that cold, killing intent could be felt from the direction of the army? It seemed like it was coming from the Kaizai army. The rumbling sounds were getting louder and louder. When the guard in front of the building saw the army galloping towards him in the distance, he was astonished. Red armor, red horses, they looked majestic and cruel. His heart started pounding in his chest. Only a short moment later, an incredibly vast and boundless army arrived in front of the government building. Boom! The sound of destruction spread through the atmosphere. A hurricane emerged and crushed the gate in front of the building. Boom! Sounds of things being destroyed filled the atmosphere. Everything in front of the government building had been destroyed. The Kai-Zai troops annihilated everything in their path and left no obstacle standing. After having cleared the path to the entrance of the building, the troops entered the government building. Even though their army was incredibly large, they were still in perfect formation. There wasn't the least bit of chaos in their formation. Concerning the guards, they were stunned by the sight of the sea of cavalry. They were standing motionless and let the cavalry pass by. They had the impression that the horses could crush them under their hoofs at any moment, but the army was in perfect formation and simply moved around the guards. Not even a hair was touched. They were perfectly accurate with each of their movements. The guards were terrified to be standing in the path of the horses. People in the government building were panicking and running around like headless chickens. They were scared silly. The happy laughter and cheerful voices of the banquet had stopped, not because it was covered by the noise from the army, but because nobody felt like laughing anymore. Everybody was standing up and looking at that vast and majestic sea of Kai-Zai horses. They had never been this scared before. Their hearts were violently pounding. A gigantic and powerful Kai-Zai army like that could easily annihilate the city. Only a glance at these troops on their Kai-Zai horses was enough to scare even a hardened soldier. That army was composed of the most elite troops. Every single soldier was a talented and disciplined cultivator, and there was an army of these powerful cultivators heading in their direction. The troops suddenly adopted a spiral formation, encircling everybody who was present at the banquet. Not even a single drop of water could trickle through, making everybody unable to escape, even if they grew wings and attempted to fly out. At that moment, there wasn't a single person who could escape. This incredible army of elite troops could destroy anyone's courage. Nalakshing's heart was pounding. Such a huge and powerful army had come to apologize. Dugu Zio was frowning. He put down his glass and slowly walked towards the person who was the closest to him. He looked at the person in front of him. The person was wearing a red armor and a majestic helm. That person's facial expression was ice cold. He then said, "What guts? You are the Kai-Zai army. Why have you come to Yangzhou City?" The Kai-Zai troops were elite troops in Zhu Yue. The guests were stupefied. This army was the elite Kai-Zai army? That's why they were wearing red armor and had Kai-Zai armored horses. Nobody paid attention to him. They looked at Du Gu Zio's performance as if he was a fool. Du Gu Zio was furious. Mere soldiers dared to make him lose face, especially now that he had bragged about how respected and influential he was. "Who's your officer? Show yourself and apologize," Du Gu Zio shouted. Even though he felt scared standing before such a powerful army, he belonged to the Du Gu clan. He had the right to be arrogant. His family was incredibly powerful, and it was hard to scare him when he had such a high status. Everybody in the Lin Clan treated him like a deity. He was drunk and started to believe that he actually was a deity when inside such a small city. He was extremely arrogant. Besides, he was the one who dared to force the army here. How could he flinch at this moment? Lin Feng stood next to Du Gu Zio. She was looking coldly at the army. She felt proud of the man she loved. Nobody dared offend the members of the Du Gu clan. Even the Kai-Zai officers wouldn't dare. After all, she didn't just pick anyone to be with her. "You are all extremely audacious. How dare you storm into the government like this?" Lin Feng said. She had the impression that her boyfriend was a mighty hero. She wasn't scared at all because a member of the Du Gu clan was beside her. "Show myself, apologize, audacious," Lin Feng mockingly said. He made his horse slowly trot to the front of the army. He was wearing a bronze mask. His expression was ice cold and evil. He didn't look at Du Gu Zio and Lin Feng. He was looking directly at Nalangsheng. "Nalangsheng, head of Yangzhou City, you wanted me to come here and apologize." Nalangsheng was astonished. How did Lin Feng know who he was within the crowd? Lin Feng frowned when he heard Du Gu Zio interrupt with a shout. "I'm talking to you, didn't you hear me?" Lin Feng looked at Du Gu Zio, another arrogant cultivator acting foolishly. "What do you want?" said Lin Feng in a cold tone. The crowd was shocked. Du Gu Zio was astonished. His face lost all color. The expression in his eyes turned ice cold. My family name is Dugu, said Dugu Zio in an arrogant tone. Lin Feng was surprised. Dugu? That name sounded familiar. He had indeed met Dugu Shang. Lin Feng looked at Dugu Zio again, and a smile appeared under his bronze mask. So what? The Dugu clan of the Imperial City, said Dugu Zio aggressively. His relatives are part of the Imperial Ministers, said Lin Feng arrogantly. Now get down off your horse and apologize, then I will pretend that this never happened. Dugu Zio said when he heard Lin Feng say the word Imperial Ministers, his facial expression also revealing a proud expression. Imperial Ministers, whispered Lin Feng while lowering his head and looking at Dugu Zio with a cold stare. He only noticed that every second Dugu Zio was growing even more arrogant. Indeed, Dugu Shang and him were both cut from the same cloth. Cut one of his arms off, Lin Feng said in a cold tone while waving his hand. Everybody was dumbstruck. Cut one of his arms off. Lin Feng's voice was calm. Everybody was absolutely petrified. Lin Feng wanted to cut one of Dugu Zio's arms off. Dugu Zio was related to an imperial minister, and he would dare to cut his arm off. Dugu Zio's arrogant expression vanished. His heart was pounding. What did he just hear? After having declared his social status and demanding for Lin Feng to apologize, Lin Feng hadn't even paid attention to him and calmly ordered his soldiers to cut one of his arms off. People in the crowd felt like their hearts skipped a beat. What did you just say? Asked Lin Feng, whose heart was pounding. Immediately after, she looked at Lin Feng with an ice-cold glare. Dugu Zio was her boyfriend, and she was extremely happy to be with him. When the people of the banquet had learnt that a huge army had come to Yangzhou City, they had all panicked. Only Lin Feng and Dugu Zio had remained calm and were extremely arrogant. They were the ones who demanded the army come to apologize. Listen to me, you want to cut one of my arms off, said Dugu Zio in an ice-cold tone while releasing some cold chi. At the same time, a soldier wearing a bronze mask rushed out from the army while releasing some extremely thick and brutal chi. Slash! Lin Feng didn't feel like hearing any more words. Ba Dao jumped through the air. A magnificent and bright light filled the atmosphere. In the blink of an eye, it disappeared. The only thing left in the atmosphere was gushing blood. The entire atmosphere turned completely silent. Everybody was staring at the blood. Their hearts were shaken. They had really cut off his arm. That soldier didn't hesitate at all. The Kaizai officer gave an order, and his arm had immediately been completely cut off. Besides, that bright and dazzling light which flashed through the air remained in their minds. They couldn't think about anything else. Oh, the entire atmosphere was invaded by a heavy silence. Dugu Zio broke that silence when he uttered a long cry of agony. He was covering his bleeding stump with his other hand. His face was deathly pale. There wasn't the slightest trace of color in his face. Besides, on his side, Lin Feng was blankly staring at the scene. Her beautiful cheeks turned white. Had Dugu Zio really lost his arm? It's over. Lin Feng's heart was violently pounding. The Dugu clan would never accept the fact that Dugu Zio's arm had been cut off, and they would hold the Lin Clan responsible. How could this happen? Thought Lin Feng while feeling enraged. He raised his head and looked at Lin Feng, the officer of the Kaizai troops who was wearing a bronze mask. At that moment, Lin Feng looked at him as well. Behind his mask, his face was as calm and serene as before. He did not care about the events that had just transpired. You wanted me to come and apologize? Said Lin Feng, sounding cold and detached. Lin Feng's facial expression became rigid. He was realizing that Lin Feng might also cut off his arms. This officer was insane. Would it be that simple, though? But at that moment, Lin Feng was surrounded by an army and couldn't escape at all. Lin Feng just had to give the order, and the Lin Clan would be annihilated. Lin Feng had listened to Dugu Zio and told them to come apologize. He had asked the officer of the Kaizai army to come and apologize. Of course, all of this was happening because Lin Feng had trusted Dugu Zio too much. After all, his family was tied to imperial ministers. However, he wouldn't have thought that an officer would actually dare to cut off one of Dugu Zio's arms, especially when considering his social background. Who are you? Said Dugu Zio, sounding evil while staring at Lin Feng. He wanted to slaughter Lin Feng. I am Dugu Zio of the Dugu clan. Our clan has imperial ministers, and you dared to cut off my arm. You are dead, shouted Lin Feng while staring at Lin Feng. Her facial expression was hideous. Dugu clan, imperial ministers, I know all of that, said Lin Feng indifferently. He then looked at Dugu Zio and said, What is your relation to Du Gu Shang? Huh. Du Gu Zio was surprised. He was staring at Lin Feng. My older brother, since you know, how dare you cut off my arm? At that moment, his wound was extremely painful. Your older brother, you are all the same. You whole clan must be incredibly stupid, said Lin Feng, sounding cold and detached. He then added, could it be that your brother hasn't told you? A few days ago at the Celestial Academy, I slapped him into a stupor and then made him kneel down and kowtow to me. Du Gu Zio was violently shaking and staring at Lin Feng. He was dumbstruck. Surprisingly, it was him. He should have thought about this earlier. Kaizai officer, Yangzhou City must be his fief. Why didn't he think about it sooner? That was because in his head, the Kaizai army should belong to Duan Ren City, but surprisingly they had come to Yangzhou City. He was now realizing that the Kaizai army hadn't gone back to Duan Ren City. Instead, they had come to the new fief of their officer, a small city that was not worth mentioning. Lin Feng had set a whole city on fire, had crossed a huge distance to save the princess. He rushed over to the imperial city to save Liu Kang Lan from being executed. Then he killed Duan Tian Lang's son in front of him. He was the Marquis of Yangzhou City. Lin Feng had become a legend in the imperial city. Lin Feng was absolutely fearless. He didn't even fear Duan Tian Lang and killed his son in front of him. Was there anything that Lin Feng didn't dare to do? Du Gu Zio's face was deathly pale. Why did this happen to him? There were imperial ministers in his family. The crowd also noticed that Lin Feng was silent. They were stupefied he had slapped Du Gu Zio's brother. He even made him kowtow. Who was this person? He was truly insane. He wasn't even scared of facing the Du Gu clan. Na Lan Feng and Na Lan Xing saw that Du Gu Zio had also become silent. They were shaking in fear. Du Gu Zio, surprisingly, was keeping his mouth closed from fear. If he remained silent, it meant that Lin Feng was speaking the truth. His brother had really been slapped by Lin Feng and had kowtowed as an apology. Who is he? Whispered Na Lan Feng, but Du Gu Zio ignored her. He had a strange smile on his face. Good, good. Du Gu Zio was almost driven insane. He couldn't do anything against Lin Feng. He wasn't strong enough to rival him, and his clan would not risk getting involved. His brother had even been humiliated by him. All he could do was remain silent. His brother had been humiliated. He, himself, had just lost an arm. How could he not be driven into madness? That Kaizai officer was really a terrifying existence. Du Gu Zio demanded the army come and apologize. It seems like he knows the officer but can't afford to offend him, thought the people in the crowd. The Na Lan clan was in trouble. A moment before, Du Gu Zio was insufferably arrogant and aggressive, but then his arm was cut off. He didn't even dare to make another sound. The Na Lan clan had no escape. Apologize. Lin Feng was standing before them. Who could stop him? Everybody wanted to say that it had nothing to do with the Na Lan clan, so that they would be able to avoid a catastrophe. Na Lan Xing, I am the Kaizai Marquis and Yangzhou City is my fief. I arrived in Yangzhou City and instead of a greeting, you demand an apology. How audacious, said Lin Feng in an extremely cold tone, making everybody shiver. What should be your punishment? Said Lin Feng. Na Lan Xing's heart was beating extremely violently. He was the Marquis of Yangzhou City. He had surprisingly come to receive his fief, and Na Lan Xing refused to greet him and demanded an apology. That was an offense. Na Lan Xing remained silent. He only saw Lin Feng turn to the other members of his clan. What do you think? How should he be punished? The crowd was shaking. Lin Feng was terrifying. The last person to speak will die, said Lin Feng. Then suddenly everyone burst into uproar. Na Lan Xing is a criminal. He should die. When Na Lan Xing heard that, he evilly stared at the person. The person was flattering him a short moment before, and at that moment he was saying that he should die. What a venomous snake. Indeed, Na Lan Xing should die. He definitely has to die. Yes, you're right. Kill him. Everybody who was present was replying as quickly as possible, scared to be the last person. Lin Feng was smiling under his mask. Finally, he looked at Na Lan Xing and said, Did you hear that? Everybody is saying that you should die. When Na Lan Xing saw that Lin Feng might kill him, and when he saw Lin Feng's calm eyes, he had the feeling that he knew him from somewhere. I know you. Who are you? Said Na Lan Xing to Lin Feng. He realized that Lin Feng may have come specifically for him. Do you want to know who I am? Said Lin Feng calmly. I do, said Na Lan Xing while nodding. He of course wanted to know. All right, I see. Lin Feng smiled. He put his hands on his bronze mask and slowly took it off. His face appeared. Everybody, including Na Lan Xing, could see him. At that moment, the atmosphere became entirely silent. Lin Feng, it's Lin Feng, I can't believe it. Their hearts were racing. The officer of the Kaizai army was surprisingly Lin Feng. Back in the past, Lin Feng had begun to show his brilliant talent, but then the Lin Clan and the Lin Clan made him their enemy and forced him to leave. The previous year, during the annual competition, many of the prestigious figures of Yangzhou City had personally seen Lin Feng. All the people present at Lin banquet were rich, noble, and prestigious figures. Therefore, they could all recognize Lin Feng, that talented young man. The young man, who was now the officer of a powerful army which made the entire city vibrate, surprisingly was the same delicate and handsome young man they saw during the previous competition. Nobody would have ever thought of such a thing, even in their dreams. Besides, how old was Lin Feng? He was not even 18 years old, and he was already the officer of the Kaizai army, the Kaizai Marquis. He already had an army of tens of thousands under his control. That was amazing. Everybody was looking at Lin Feng and wanted to speak, but they all knew to remain silent. Lin was also shaking. Lin Feng was surprisingly the officer of the Kaizai army. Incredibly, it was the same Lin Feng. His heart was pounding. Back in the past, Lin Feng was considered trash and had been expelled from the Lin Clan. Now he had become a marquis. Lin had the impression that the situation was contradictory with everything that he knew about Lin Feng. Of course, the person who was most surprised was Lin Feng. When she saw Lin Feng take off his mask, she was dumbstruck. Her heart started pounding. Immediately after, she bit her lips and blankly stared at the frivolous and handsome young man. During the annual competition of the previous year, she had thought that she would be the best cultivator in the competition. She had thought that only Lin Clan would be her rival. However, nothing happened the way she had thought. Bai Yuan Hu and Lin Feng appeared from nowhere. They had stolen her prestige. However, during the competition, she had thought that she was at the same cultivation layer as Lin Feng, and she would easily surpass him in the future. However, Lin Feng was appearing in front of her again. He had an incredible social status. He had an army of Kaizai cavalry and owned the entire Yangzhou City. He had cut off the arm of her influential and arrogant boyfriend. Lin Feng was not even agitated. Lin Feng had easily ordered for his arm to be cut off. Maybe this was very normal for him. Dugu Xiao's social status was high. His relatives were imperial ministers. The fact that he had come with her had made Lin Feng extremely proud. The entire city of Yangzhou respected and admired her because of her boyfriend's status. That was why they were unceasingly flattering her. Even her clan had organized the banquet and invited the richest and most noble people to greet him. Lin Feng wasn't prepared for such a situation. She hadn't thought that a fight would break out at all. All of this was happening because of the Kaizai army. Lin Feng had easily shattered her arrogance. Actually, he had crushed her entire reality and turned her world upside down. She was much weaker than Lin Feng. She could not even touch his shadow. Surprisingly, at that moment, the calmest person of the group was the person who had just lost an arm, Dugu Xiao. That was because Lin Feng had mentioned that he slapped Dugu Shang. At that moment, Dugu Xiao understood what kind of person he was dealing with and the social status that Lin Feng had. He had never seen Lin Feng's face before. When looking at that young and handsome man, Dugu Xiao wanted to rip him to shreds. Lin Feng had not only crushed his arrogance, but he also cut off his arm. Besides, his natural talent was far beyond Dugu Xiao. The crowd was astonished. When Lin Feng noticed the reactions, he was smiling coldly. Power was determined by strength and status. In the past, he was an unknown and quiet young man. Even though he had participated in the annual competition, his strength was still not enough. He also had no social status at all. He had been so talented that Lin wasn't able to bear it and forced the Gu clan and the Wen clan to get involved. Everybody had joined forces in an attempt to kill him. He had been reluctant to leave Yangzhou City, but now he was back. However, the new Lin Feng had become much stronger. He could control an entire army, therefore. He could look down on everyone. He had the power of life and death. He used to be humiliated every single day that he spent living in Yangzhou City, but he still returned to the place he called home. "Do you understand things more clearly now?" said Lin Feng in a calm voice while looking at Lin. That calm voice made everyone tremble. Everybody was looking at Lin Feng. They were all confused. They were unable to calm their racing hearts. Nobody would have thought that the young man, who was forced from Yangzhou City in humiliation, would come back and shock them all. Lin was having trouble breathing as the shock had been too great. He didn't know what to say, but he knew, more than everyone else, what was going to happen. Lin Feng was as handsome, frivolous, and determined as before. In the past, Lin Feng's strength wasn't enough to make a difference, but now he was able to control an entire army and became the Marquis of Yangzhou City. Could Lin Feng still be the same weak young man? That was, of course, impossible. "What do you want?" Na Lanxing was staring at Lin Feng. He felt extremely disheartened. Today was supposed to be a happy day, but because of Lin Feng, it had become a tragic event. "What about you?" said Lin Feng while smiling coldly, and then continued. "Last year you, Na Lanxing, as the head of the Lin Clan, organized the annual competition. I had joined, but when I won, the Lin Clan wanted my life. You, as the one organizing the event, didn't try to stop them at all. You gave your tacit agreement. You wanted me to die. I beat everybody, including your daughter. I even took her as a hostage, so of course you wanted to see me dead. The Yangzhou City competition was a joke." Lin Feng was speaking slowly. "Besides, you organized everything to make your daughter seem stronger than she was. But now, I am stronger than your daughter. Back then, your daughter sent people to kill me because I refused to give her my table. She thought that she could put herself high above me. I could have died at any point." Lin Feng's words were insufferably powerful and cold. "Therefore, for everything that you made me suffer, I will return it back. I want you to take your own life. You must take your own life." Lin Feng's tone was calm and peaceful. The crowd was astonished and their hearts were pounding once again. Lin Feng was surprisingly asking Na Lanxing, the head of Yangzhou City, to commit suicide. In the past, who would have thought that the delicate and handsome young man would, one day, look at Na Lanxing and tell him to kill himself? In the past, Na Lanxing was sitting at the top, and it was as if Lin Feng was an ant beneath his foot. "If I decide against that," said Na Lanxing while staring at Lin Feng aggressively, "you can choose to refuse. I don't have much time to play with you, so I will give you 10 seconds to think it over. If you don't reply, I will take that as your refusal. The countdown starts now." He had 10 seconds to decide. How domineering, how powerful. 1, 2. Lin Feng didn't care about what other people thought. He was looking at Na Lanxing and counting. Na Lanxing's face turned deathly pale. He had never thought that suddenly someone would tell him to end his own life. Besides, he also had the choice to refuse. The only problem was who would dare to refuse. 6, 7. Time passed. The 10 seconds had almost elapsed. Everybody was staring at Na Lanxing. "No, don't," said Na Lanfeng while looking at her father and shaking her head frenetically. She regretted everything at that moment. Everything that was happening was because of her. She had used her status to send people to kill him over nothing. If she hadn't acted that way in the past, maybe they wouldn't be in such a desperate situation at that moment. Her pride and arrogance had a price, and what a tragic one. 9. Ha 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 ha. At that moment, a loud laugh spread through the atmosphere. Na Lanxing was laughing as if he was carefree. "PSSSH?" A sound echoed through the banquet hall along with the echoing laughter. Suddenly, blood started spilling from Na Lanxing's mouth. "Father!" Na Lanfeng's face turned deathly pale. Her father had chosen to kill himself. He hadn't dared to gamble. Lin Feng was excessively cruel. Na Lanfeng felt hatred rise up from the bottom of her heart. Everybody was looking at Na Lanxing. He had run himself through and pierced his vitals. Suicide. The head of Yangzhou City had, in front of Lin Feng, committed suicide as a punishment for his crime. A short time before, it was his future son-in-law who had made Lin Feng come to apologize. "Father!" shouted Na Lanfeng while looking at her father piercing his vital organs. A cracking sound spread in the air. Her face turned deathly pale. The expression in her eyes revealed pure hopelessness. "Lin Feng, I chose to obey you and commit suicide, but my family, including my daughter, are innocent. I hope that you can let them off," said Na Lanxing, and then he injected qi into his vitals, and there was a small explosion of all his organs. Immediately after, his face lost its color, and he fell heavily onto the floor. One of the great figures of Yangzhou City had killed himself because of Lin Feng's words. His power and influence were incredible. Lin Feng wanted him to die, so he didn't dare to live. He was scared that Lin Feng would annihilate his entire bloodline. These days, the officer of the Kaizai army seemed extremely cruel. His words were as sharp as a sword. Nobody could stop him, and if somebody tried to block him, he would kill them. Na Lanxing had had only one choice, to die. If he didn't agree, he would die. If he refused, he would die. Therefore, he had decided to accept. He had to kill himself in order to protect his clan. "I have nothing against your family except for Na Lanfeng. How could I have mercy on her?" said Lin Feng, sounding cold and detached while looking at Na Lanxing's corpse. It wasn't only because Na Lan Feng had sent people to kill him, and he almost died from that encounter. Even though he had taken her as a hostage, that wasn't enough. Lin Feng hadn't forgiven her. Besides, she wasn't showing any signs that she regretted what she had done. She was still insufferably arrogant and thought that, by relying on Du Gu Zio's social status, she could act as she wished. Lin Feng couldn't tolerate her continuously looking down on people. Lin Feng had been in that world for over a year. He had changed and was no longer weak and indecisive. These days, if he had a feeling in his heart, he'd trust it, even if it meant killing people without mercy. The most important thing was to stick to one's convictions. The crowd was stupefied. Lin Feng surprisingly wasn't going to let Na Lan Feng off. Na Lan Feng was hugging her father's dead body. Her face looked lifeless, and she was still staring at Lin Feng because Lin Feng had cut off one of Du Gu Zio's arms and had forced her father to kill himself. What did he intend to do with her? No need to look at me like that. Back in the past, it was just the beginning. When you tried to kill me, I would have never thought that I would have the opportunity to get my revenge so soon. You can cripple your own cultivation. I will not kill you. Lin Feng still looked expressionless. Na Lan Feng's eyes were filled with hatred. Lin Feng had a clear conscience when it came to what he was doing because he knew that Na Lanxing and Na Lan Feng would have done even worse things to him. Since that girl was so arrogant and presumptuous, Lin Feng thought that it would be good to make her cripple her own cultivation, so that she would be forced to live like the ordinary people she disdained. "Hurry up, I don't want to have to see your face any longer than required," said Lin Feng coldly while staring at Na Lan Feng. In the past, when she tried to kill Lin Feng, she would have never thought that such a day would come. Mountains can be reduced to rubble over time if there is a man with enough conviction to do so. All right, said Na Lan Feng, whose face was deathly pale. She suddenly released qi and attacked herself. Immediately after, she groaned. All of her accumulated qi filled the air. Na Lan Feng's face became even paler. She was extremely weak. The incredibly arrogant girl of Yangzhou City had become a piece of trash. The only reason was because she hated Lin Feng in the past and tried to kill him. When Lin Feng saw that Na Lan Feng was done with crippling her own cultivation, he put his mask back on and made his dragon colt horse slowly turn around. He then started speaking in a calm and peaceful voice. "Po Jun, you will stay here and reorganize everything in the government building. Then we will use this place to station the troops. Everybody else follow me." When Lin Feng finished talking, he left on his horse, looking natural and unrestrained. Rumbling filled the area again as the army started to leave the area. The Kaizai troops were also moving towards the exit. A short time after, they had all disappeared from the field of vision of the crowd. But the crowd was still staring at the empty space in front of them. The images of the army were still engraved into their minds. Lin Feng had left. Where had he gone? Lin Clan, it has to be the Lin Clan. Many people had the same thought at the same time. In the past, Lin Feng belonged to the Lin Clan. Lin Feng had been expelled and disgraced, but now he had become extremely powerful. He had become of the officer of the Kaizai and even owned Yangzhou City. He had cut off one of Du Gu Zio's arms, had killed the head of the city, and made Na Lan Feng cripple her own cultivation. Even though he hadn't moved a single finger to do all this, everything was under his control. These days, Lin Feng could deeply affect Yangzhou City. He held the power of life and death. How could he not go to the Lin Clan, who had expelled and disgraced both Lin Feng and Lin Hai? Lin Feng didn't know that the Na Lan clan was planning a festive occasion. He also didn't know that the Lin Clan was extremely lively at this moment. At the end of the year, the Lin Clan held an annual meeting, and the competition between the juniors was still occurring. Around the fighting stage of the Lin Clan were the older people of the Lin Clan. They were looking at the juniors battling. They all had big smiles on their faces. The juniors of the Lin Clan were good, and they all had relatively impressive talents. It seemed like this generation had some good qualities. It seemed like the clan would be able to rise in the future. Lin Ba Dao, Kayan is the strongest and most outstanding young cultivator we have. Not only does she have an ice and fire spirit, but she is also very young. Having broken through to the 4th Ling Qi layer, she will soon catch up with me, and at that point, she will even be stronger than me. Even with all my years of experience, congratulations. An elder of the clan was looking at the fighting stage and talking to Lin Ba Dao. The elder was flattering Lin Ba Dao, which made a huge smile appear on his face. Lin Ba Dao felt extremely proud when people flattered his daughter. He, of course, enjoyed it very much. He also felt flattered for raising such a genius. Indeed, nobody can rival with Lin Clan. She's a real genius. Lin Feng, that piece of trash, was a nobody. He was extreme weak. I don't even care if he's dead now. Many people were flattering Lin Clan and Lin Ba Dao, even if it meant they had to lie. Indeed, during the last annual meeting of the Lin Clan, everybody had seen that Lin Feng was powerful. They all knew that Lin Clan couldn't rival with Lin Feng, which is why Lin Ba Dao and the respectable elder had to expel him. He was much more talented than Lin Clan. Nobody was trying to compare them, though. Lin Clan had an ice and fire spirit, and she was a student of the holy courtyard of Zhu Yue. Lin Feng was far from being at her level. Even though he had won against her in the past, people still thought at the time he was lucky, and he had probably died long ago. Lin Ba Dao's smile was huge, and he said, "All our juniors are incredible and all practice cultivation very hard. They are all very good." That is how a good clan head should act. Lin Hai in the past just prevented the clan from progressing. Besides, his son was a disobedient brat who was not loyal to the clan. He, laughed Lin Ba Dao. Lin Feng and Lin Hai could never rival Qian and me. Exactly, never, said the people immediately in reply. At that moment, they didn't know it, but outside of the Lin Clan, someone was standing at the entrance to the gate. He looked calm and serene. The Lin Clan! Lin Feng raised his head and saw the sign at the top of the gate. It felt very familiar. Lin Feng's heart was beating a bit faster. It used to be his clan. Today is the annual meeting of the Lin Clan, thought Lin Feng. He took a deep breath and immediately moved forwards. He hadn't seen the Lin Clan for such a long time. Stop! The guards of the Lin Clan blocked the way when they saw him. They coldly asked, "Who are you?" Lin Feng looked at these two guards, smiled indifferently, and said, "My name is Lin Feng." Lin Feng, said the two guards, a bit surprised. They had been serving the Lin Clan for half a year, but they had never heard a member with that name before. Did the Lin Clan have such a person? "I don't know him," said the guards while looking at each other. They were still blocking the way, not letting Lin Feng enter. "You will know me very soon," said Lin Feng while smiling. Immediately after, a strong wind blew past their bodies. Even though their eyes were wide open, they couldn't see Lin Feng's movements. He had disappeared in a flash. He had vanished before their eyes. He moved past the guards like the wind and headed into the Lin Clan territory. The annual meeting of the Lin Clan was happening like every year at the end of the year. At that moment, Lin Ba Dao's son, Lin Hong, was punching another junior of the Lin Clan. His fist was surrounded by a powerful ice. Immediately after, the entire crowd heard a loud shout from Lin Hong's opponent. "Wow, how strong! Like father, like son, Lin Hong is extremely powerful." Indeed, it has been a series of successes since Lin Hai and his piece of trash son left the clan. Nowadays, the head of our clan has 2 children, and they are both geniuses. Lin Clan is famous for being a genius, but Lin Hong is also a talented genius. He is amazing. Except for Lin Clan, nobody else in the Lin Clan can rival him. They are both almost as powerful as the elders of the clan, said an elder while smiling. His clear and loud voice spread through the entire arena. Everybody could hear him very clearly. Amongst those who heard him was Lin Feng, who was calmly walking through the Lin Clan territory. Lin Feng hadn't thought that people would still be criticizing him and his father to satisfy Lin Ba Dao. He couldn't help but smile. He raised his head, looked at the person in the distance, and said in a mocking tone, "Oh, is that so?" His voice wasn't loud at all, but everybody heard him. People were stupefied. They turned around, and immediately they saw a silhouette, a young man. He looked surprisingly familiar. That familiar person was called a piece of trash by everyone, but during the annual meeting of the previous year, he had displayed an incredible power. After that, he had also shown an amazing display at the competition of Yangzhou City. Everybody had seen how strong he was, but he had been expelled of the Lin Clan. At the time, the clan had decided to choose Lin Clan instead of Lin Feng. Everybody thus thought that Lin Clan was much stronger than Lin Feng and had a better talent to develop in the future. They thought that the clan would be able to rise alongside her, and someday she would become the clan head. "It's him! It's Lin Feng! Lin Feng came back! He came back to the Lin Clan!" Many people were astonished when they saw Lin Feng. He looked different. He seemed more handsome and delicate. That handsome young man also looked more mature than before. He looked very calm, yet his facial expression was extremely sharp and cold. "Lin Feng?" Lin Ba Dao narrowed his eyes. That young man whom he had expelled from the clan surprisingly dared to return. A mocking smile appeared on Lin Ba Dao's face. Of all the places where he could go, he returned to the Lin Clan. He was courting death. On the stage, Lin Clan wasn't reacting the same way as her father. She started shaking violently. It was Lin Feng, unbelievable. She had asked herself if the young man, who was terrifying the people in the Imperial City, was going to come back to the Lin Clan. She was not feeling safe and had hoped he would not return. Lin Feng had come back, and it was possible that he had come back to reclaim his and his father's lost honor. "You dared to come back," said the ninth elder when he saw Lin Feng. He had an ice-cold and evil smile on the corner of his mouth. He then said, "Lin Feng, your father rebelled against the respectable elder and killed members of the clan. He has committed many crimes. Besides, you are the same and don't respect the elders. You are arrogant and rude. You have also been expelled from the Lin Clan. Besides, last year you attempted to assassinate Lin Feng, but luckily she managed to escape alive. Today, you dared to return to Yangzhou City and even come back to the Lin Clan." "Are you done talking crap?" said Lin Feng to the ninth elder. He found him to be ridiculous. He had come back and they were still creating more crimes to accuse him. He didn't feel like listening to them anymore. "Talking crap?" The ninth elder narrowed his eyes. He was staring at Lin Feng with an ice-cold glare. "You called me a piece of trash a moment ago. Today is the annual meeting of the Lin Clan. Would you dare to let your son come here and fight me?" said Lin Feng. The ninth elder's son was about the same age as Lin Feng. When he heard Lin Feng, he remained silent. His eyes looked even colder. "How come you're no longer talking? Your son is a piece of trash and doesn't dare fight right." "He is even worse than a piece of trash," said Lin Feng mockingly. He then started walking slowly towards the fighting stage. After a short moment, he appeared in front of the entire crowd and slowly walked towards the fighting stage. Many juniors of the Lin Clan, when they saw Lin Feng pass by, opened the way for him, letting him pass towards the fighting stage. After that, Lin Feng moved onto the fighting stage and looked around at the crowd surrounding the stage. "How come you aren't saying anything?" said Lin Feng to the ninth elder again. Lin Ba Dao smiled coldly and said, "Lin Feng, we had forgotten that you were also a junior of the Lin Clan. Last time we didn't kill you, we let you off, and surprisingly, instead of being thankful for showing you mercy, you dared come back to the Lin Clan." "Didn't kill me? Mercy?" Lin Feng was a bit surprised. When had Lin Ba Dao showed him this mercy? When had he let him off? "When I arrived, I heard people licking Lin Ba Dao's boots. He is really shameless. He even surrounds himself with the same type of shameless people." "How audacious!" shouted the ninth elder extremely loudly. He also released a cold chi. "Maybe I am audacious. A moment ago you were talking about how great and majestic Lin Clan and Lin Hong were. They are true geniuses, right?" "Of course they are the geniuses of our clan," replied the ninth elder. "Well, and me, I'm a piece of trash, right?" "So you already know your place," said the ninth elder mockingly. "Since that is clearly the case, I, the piece of trash, I am willing to exchange pointers with the geniuses of the Lin Clan, Lin Hong, Lin Clan, and any others who wish to come onto the stage. If I lose, then kill me," said Lin Feng in a loud voice. If he lost, he would die. How arrogant, how presumptuous, how majestic. The people of the Lin Clan remained silent. Apart from Lin Clan and Lin Hong, who would be willing to battle against Lin Feng. 1 year before, Lin Feng was already extremely powerful. How strong would he be after a year? "How come nobody is speaking? I, Lin Feng, want to die," said Lin Feng while laughing and staring at the crowd. He wanted to die. How insane did that sound? Everybody was stupefied, but as before, nobody dared reply. All the juniors of the clan were astonished, and they were all looking at Lin Clan and Lin Hong. Only they could win against Lin Feng. But they knew about Lin Feng's exploits in the Imperial City. Fighting against Lin Feng would be courting death. "I, Lin Feng, beg of you to come and kill me, but nobody is coming. What a load of crap. You all dare to speak such insane words and pretend that you are better than me. You talk about geniuses. I admire your shamelessness. I didn't know that your shamelessness had reached unfathomable heights." Lin Feng really was making fun of the Lin Clan, and it was becoming more and more obvious. The people of the clan felt their cheeks burning. Lin Feng had been expelled from the clan, but at that moment, he was on the fighting stage of the Lin Clan and asking people to go kill him. And surprisingly, nobody dared to fight against him, including the young genius who was the hope of the clan, Lin Clan. "You impudent brat!" furiously shouted the ninth elder. He had just finished talking, and Lin Feng was already shouting and mocking the ninth elder. Didn't you, a moment ago, say that I was a piece of trash and that they are geniuses, but now, where are they? I am here and I want to die, but they don't dare to fight. If you are willing to, you can also come down. I really want to die. How insane. How shocking. Lin Feng was inviting the Ninth Elder to come onto the fighting stage to kill him as well. He really had a death wish. The Ninth Elder narrowed his eyes and looked at Lin Clan and Lin Hong. He then immediately smiled coldly and said, Lin Feng, Lin Clan, and Lin Hong are geniuses of the Lin Clan. It would be a humiliation for them to fight against you, but since you want to die, I should help you. When he finished talking, the Ninth Elder jumped onto the fighting stage, immediately landing in front of Lin Feng. What an impressive agility technique. How beautiful. Lin Feng surprisingly challenged the Ninth Elder to a battle. How insane. He really wants to die. The Ninth Elder has broken through to the 5th Lingqi layer. He definitely deserves his reputation as a strong cultivator. He is extremely powerful. Lin Feng is already dead. The crowd had various thoughts about the Ninth Elder when they saw him jump onto the fighting stage. At the same time, an insane quantity of ice chi concentrated itself on his fist and suddenly bombarded the atmosphere, moving straight towards Lin Feng. It seemed like Lin Feng was going to freeze on the spot. Lin Feng was calmly standing there, looking at the Ninth Elder, who had an evil smile on his face. Die! Shouted the Ninth Elder, but at that moment, Lin Feng waved his hand and cut the atmosphere. A bright and resplendent sword chi flashed in the air. Immediately after, the Ninth Elder didn't even have the time to give a horrible shriek before his blood filled the air. He just pitifully groaned and collapsed. His facial expression looked calm, his body was lifeless. The crowd was astonished and their hearts were violently pounding. They were shocked, dumbstruck. Had the Ninth Elder died? The Ninth Elder had been killed by Lin Feng with a single blow. The crowd was dumbstruck and terrified. They only saw Lin Feng look at the corpse on the ground and say with an indifferent tone, "A piece of trash." Lin Feng walked forwards again. He looked at the crowd with an insane smile on his face. ILIN FENG want to die.